What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Make an Impact podcast with real stories, real people, and real impact. My name is Stephen Turnbull. I'm an entrepreneur, a father, and a husband that's on a mission to empower individuals to share their stories so that they can make an impact on you. We have a fantastic episode today. When I say fantastic, I'm not exaggerating. Natalie DeTraglia, who is the owner of Modern Counseling and Wellness Company. We could have talked all night long, and I'm not just exaggerating. Great conversations about mental health, her story of opening her private practice, the why behind opening her private practice, and a little teaser coming that might be part 2 on the Make an Impact podcast. I'm super excited for you to listen to this conversation. Let's get into Natalie DeTraglia. Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast, everybody. We have a super special guest, Natalie DeTraglia, with us today. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so excited for this conversation. Yeah, very excited for this conversation. We're going to talk about mental health, talk about the new venture you're working on. I'm super excited about all that. Let's just start with who's Natalie DeTraglia. Tell us everything.
Here I am.
Here we are.
I'm here. No, first and foremost, thank you, obviously, for having me on. This will be a really good opportunity to talk about what I'm looking to bring to the community. I think that there's not enough of. So I started out my venture. I went to Utica College, not Utica University. I'm very proud of that.
I went to St. John Fisher College before St. John Fisher University. I feel you there.
Right? So great experience, by the way. Can't speak highly enough. With an undergrad in psych. And I thought I was going to be a teacher, and I was completely swayed away from that. Everybody was like, don't be naive, you know, it's really hard to get into that profession right now. And I knew I wanted to help people, but so I actually took an internship with the United County District Attorney's Office before I did anything. Because I was like, am I going to go to law school? And then when you realize how much law school is, you decide not to go to law school, you know? So I explored more about this idea of helping people. I knew I loved psych. That was what my undergrad was in. And that brought me to, obviously, where I am now, doing mental health services. So my program was wonderful. But I spent one of my first experiences at the House of the Good Shepherd, which kind of comes full circle. We'll get into that as I talk about where I am now.
Sure.
But what a humbling first experience, you know?
Yeah.
You're working with children who are displaced, who really are experiencing some of the worst of the worst. I had a lot of young teenagers put me in my place pretty early on. You know, I'm thinking I'm connecting with them and I'm telling them I understand, and they're like, you don't understand.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And from there, then ventured into my first experience in private practice, which didn't go so great. I didn't have a great experience. And
so that was before now.
That was before now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Where I went, I was a testing technician, and I just realized that I wanted to do something different. I didn't think I wanted to sit with people all day. It's a lot to carry.
Sure. Yeah.
It's heavy. And that brought me back to this idea of going into the school system. I was very drawn to kids, very drawn to making a difference and being proactive. So I went back to get a degree in school counseling, a CAS, advanced study. So I did that and, you know, started out. And then it was like, where do I want to be? What population do I want to work with? And as you know, spent the last 5 years working at Sequoia, which was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, I'm not here today without that experience, you know?
That. Yeah.
But it brought me to where I am. You know, my students were like, we are connecting with you, you know, can we meet with you outside of here? And obviously, ethically speaking, the answer is no.
Right.
But it brought on this idea that, like, I have this degree. Why am I wasting it?
Yeah.
Right? You can be doing something part-time.
Sure.
And went back, and that's when I started to venture into private practice.
Gotcha.
Kind of picked it up part-time and started working with these teenagers. But then that also transitioned to more referrals.
Yep.
And I grew to love it. I think because when you become your own business owner, I mean, as you know, right, there's something really special and unique about being able to make it your own.
Yeah.
Which has been my favorite part of the whole thing so far.
So you said 2 things: help people and make a difference. Why is that important to you?
Well, I think any good clinician, anybody who becomes a social worker, a mental health counselor, has their own history, right? They have their own experiences that can relate into why they want to help make a difference.
Yeah.
I've navigated a lot over the course of my own personal life. And I think seeing the impact that I could have, I think one of my talents and what has brought me to this position is rapport. I think if you can build a good rapport, which I found I was doing with my students at Sequoia, you can really thrive and you can make a difference, and it feels really good to see people say, like, I feel a connection. You hear me on a different level. You understand me. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
You know, all those things.
I'm going to probably butcher it, and I'm going to think for a second before I say it, because when it's one of my favorite sayings. I got it. It came back, Mike. Not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me?
100%.
And I heard that. And I mean, I'm an open book about my journey of how I got to where I am. Like, was where I thought I was going to be for the rest of my life, and that didn't work out, and started my own. And like, prior to that, if you said, "Oh, are you ever going to start your own insurance agency?" I would have thought you were crazy.
100%.
But those experiences navigated to me to where I am today. And when I heard that, it was like a slap in the face, because I don't like. Instead of like, oh man, this happened to me and this is so terrible, but like, what is this trying to teach me for the future? And I want you as the professional to just kind of dig into that for me.
Well, what you're describing, right, is perspective, the way in which you're thinking about the experiences that you have. And that is, if you ask me to just to give you 3 words that I focus on, like in a session with a client, that's probably number 1. Because that is exactly what cognitive behavioral therapy is. It's getting people to think about things differently and in a more positive light. Being able to see, like, you know, again, did I have a great first experience in private practice? No. Did I take some of the most valuable lessons from that experience? Without a doubt, you know, and that has shaped where I'm at now, obviously. And even then, too, you know, a lot of people, even John has said, like, you know, oh, do you wish you had gone into private practice sooner? No, I don't. Because that experience that I had at Sequoia, the relationships I've made, is exactly why I'm here today. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. So Modern Counseling and Wellness Company. Yeah. That's the new venture.
It is.
We're new. How new? Couple months.
Couple months. Right? Yeah.
Officially full time.
Oh man, it was the longest, which in the best way.
Yeah.
Becoming a business owner has taught me the one thing that I needed the most, which is patience.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody says you're a business owner, you're rich, you got all this time. You know,
yeah,
that's what everybody says. I don't know what you're talking about.
None of the above.
Patience. I've never heard of it. I don't know what you mean.
Right. So for the last, while I was still at Sequoia, this was something that I was obviously navigating. As this is growing, I'm figuring out I got to make a move. Yeah. I'm either going to not do this and I'm going to keep, stop taking on referrals, or I'm going to make the leap. But when I decided to make the leap, I knew that I needed to take this slow. Mm-hmm. I can tend to get really excited because I'm super passionate about things.
Right.
And I knew I needed to make sure that this was going to be something that was going to work long term.
Yeah.
So I think that, thinking about the journey that I took to get here and how long, changing the name, doing the brand, thinking about how do I want to grow this? How do I want to be unique compared to other things in the area? That was the longest part.
I'm going to throw you another one of my favorite statements, and I want you to rip it apart.
Throw me.
In the best way possible. When I was taking the leap to start my own agency, there was people over here that were rooting for me. There's people over here that couldn't believe I was doing it. And there was relationships I lost because I did it, right? So that was heavy. There was a lot there of, okay, I'm losing this, but here's what's to gain. And if I'm losing this, maybe those aren't the people I want in my life because they're not supporting what Stephen Turnbull as an individual, not an insurance agency owner, as an individual wants to do. One of my friends I was talking to who's been a mentor through the whole process said, look at it this way. What's the absolute worst thing that's going to happen? What's the absolute best thing that's going to happen? And what's probably going to happen? And if all of those things are okay and you're going to survive them, then what are you waiting for? Talk to me about it.
One of the reasons that I'm here in this space is because for probably the duration of my life, the theme has been, you're never going to make anything of yourself. You're not going to do it. You're not going to be successful. You're too, again, impulsive. You're not credentialed enough.
Yeah.
Again, being very vulnerable because this is what I do in a session. This is what I do. I had a former employer say, you will never ever achieve your goals if you don't address your undiagnosed ADHD. So it's one of those things
Diagnosed over here, baby, all day long.
right? And it's like one of those things where you can do one of two things. You can let people criticize you until you're completely broken and you don't make it, and then you prove them right. Or you can take that as fuel, and that has been kind of my mantra. Like, let me take everything these people are saying, and use that as my drive to
It's
be
a healthy chip.
100%.
I call that a healthy chip.
100%.
All right, let's dive deeper a little. I love this. I told you, I have all these notes. I'm not even going to look at them. Okay, so what is your advice for people you work with, people that are listening, whatever, that experience something like that, of you have this devil on your shoulder over here, go get them. This one, you're never going to make it. Have experienced someone saying, like you just did, you're never going to make it if you don't do X, Y, and Z, because the brain is a crazy thing, as you know, in your profession and all the studies. What's your experience for people that experience that, whether it's life, business, home, whatever it might be?
I'm going to say something that probably is going to get me ripped to shreds by people. Are you familiar with this new book that's out by Mel Robbins called The Let Them Theory?
It's my middle name at this point.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Little contradicting over here.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yep.
So while it's absolutely wonderful, and it's great, the idea is obviously wonderful. Tell me what the difference is between letting someone and minding your business and worrying about you, like, and focusing on your goals. There isn't, right? There is no difference. So it's just this idea that, like, I have to remain focused on me. Is this going to benefit me?
Right.
If I disagree with somebody because of their morals or values, beliefs, whatever it is, that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's life. But does it impact me? Does it impact my success? Does it impact my family?
Right.
And if the answer is no, then yes, you let them, right? You let them do what they need to do, but you remain focused on what your goals are. So when people are criticizing your ability or your, what it is that you're trying to achieve, I look at that at a deeper level and I go, what is it about you that you're so dissatisfied with what I'm doing? You know what I mean? Why are you looking to almost kind of like bring me down or bring me back from the success that I'm trying to reach? Says more about you than it does about me. And again, that goes back to perspective, the way in which you think about things.
Right.
I think it's easy. We're all critical of ourselves, So it's really easy to take that and let it drown you.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
really
it is.
good.
But, you have to remember why you're there in the first place. If there's a genuine connection to the thing that you're trying to work toward, you're most likely not going to drown.
So, $1 million question: what's the Natalie DeTraglia book going to be called?
Yeah, right.
we want to wait. We'll announce it on the next podcast.
Mel Robbins is coming for me.
That's right. We'll announce it on the next podcast.
Listen, I am actually, something's in the works, so to be continued.
To be continued. Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, take us back. I want to dive a little deeper into the first venture compared to this one.
Yeah.
And we talked about the building blocks of the experiences and what you learned through that, and what I guess, talk to us about what you want to as far as positive and negative things that have overflowed into this journey.
So right now, I mean, I'll start with like me as a business owner and what I'm trying to create for my employees and for my clients, both. I have taken something from every employer that I've ever had, because good or bad. I don't want to portray this. I do want to portray this. You've been a huge influence in some of the stuff I've done. And I just shared this with my neighbor when I had said, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this podcast, the brownie thing. That, for me, when you are trying to, again, be a successful business owner, connect as a clinician, your skill set is one thing. Your ability to build rapport and be genuine with people that you are working with is a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, part of the reason I saw some of the success I did at Sequoia with my students, is because I didn't have to be the best school counselor. I didn't have to know the ins and outs of school tool and the computers, which I did. But it was my ability to be present and listen and understand and let them know they're not alone. So, like, things like getting a card with my wedding picture on it when I got married, and I ridiculously drive in my husband's truck.
You had an accident? No, I don't know about that.
Have to file a claim, and I get, like, this, package of brownies in the mail.
You just threw yourself under the bus there. You could have just said an accident happened, but you had to go into the details.
I know. Which it did. But so yeah, that genuine, hey, here, I'm connecting with you. I'm thinking of you in such a unique way. When I started this, I thought to myself, what are the things that I'm going to do that are going to be unique to my clientele and I completely thought of you in that regard.
So what from that is different to kind of the first, when you went into private practice the first time, like what differences did you detect? I mean, you said all the good stuff about that experience, and I'm going to butcher another statement, but there's something out there along the lines of like, people won't remember about the prices or the service you're providing them. They're going to remember how you make them feel.
100%.
And I mean, that's a perfect example,
100%.
right? I mean, you're like what she's referring to is in the insurance agency, if we have somebody that has a claim or an accident or they're going through something that is potentially their worst day they've had in a while, we send them a thing of brownies that say, claims suck, but brownies don't. Yeah. And we get that reaction.
Love it.
Because no other people are doing it. And instead, for maybe 5 seconds, you're not thinking about your house that just burned or your car accident. You're thinking about, oh, these brownies, that's great. Oh, look at this, it's different. And that resorts back to like how you making them feel. So what do you think, was it just a business owner's mindset that changed from that first venture to now this, or just the overall experience? What do you think changed?
Quality over quantity. Right? While, yes, I'm trying to grow something, I'm trying to be successful, I also want to make sure that there is connection. And that's one of the first conversations, both myself, Brianna, who just came on, Holly, who's coming on, that will be something we ingrain there too, is that when we introduce ourselves to a new client, the first conversation is, this has to be a good fit for you and for me. Right? I am who I am. This is what you're getting. There is no hiding anything. I'm loud. I have a big personality. Might swear a little bit in a session, but that has to work for people. Yeah. And then there's a second step, because I think you'll get a lot of clinicians that say that there has to be the follow through of, if it doesn't work, it's okay. Right? I don't just say, oh, this isn't working. We're going to have to cut services and move you on. I'm going to help you find another therapist that fits what you need in order to help you. Because what you're here is you're looking to help resolve issues in your life. If I can't help you do that, there's certainly someone that can. So quality over quantity. I'm not bringing on and asking. Brianna and I had a conversation the other day, and she was like, you can fit so-and-so or this many people in my schedule. And I was like, I don't want that for you. Right. I want you to feel good about what you're doing. I don't want you to experience burnout in the first 3 months of being here. While, yes, we want to obviously, again, create profit and do well as a business to be able to offer more, it's about the quality. It's about what you're giving to those people. Are you present? Do you feel good? Do you feel mentally well to be here performing your duties? So I think that's like one of the biggest things, Yeah. Quality for sure.
All right, let's dive into the new venture. Before we get to opening the doors day one, talk me through the process. And then if you can talk to him more about just the mental back and forth in your head of, should I do it now? When should I do it? What's it going to look like when you take the jump from getting a paycheck to owning your own business?
Do you know Pete Sheldon?
Who?
Pete Sheldon.
Why do I?
He's the high school counselor.
Yes,
the other one.
Because I'm calling out Mike Taft again, who everybody on the show loves. He substituted at Clinton, I think, for a while when we were there. Does that name sound familiar?
He may have.
Yeah.
He may have. Yeah.
Kind of not buzz cut, but like shorter hair. Yeah. Okay.
So he's the other counselor at Sequoia, and he's totally probably going to watch this, and he's going to hear this, and he's going to be like, oh. Again, rapport and connection. I've never worked so well with another employee. He's a great person. He's a great counselor. We had a lot of fun. And to be completely honest with you, while Sequoia is, sorry, Clinton, my kids go to Clinton, one of the best schools in the area, without a doubt. My relationship with him and then my other colleagues was one of the reasons I continued to stay for some time. Because I was in private practice since 2022, and I didn't leave until January of this year.
Gotcha. So you're doing it part-time.
I was doing it part-time.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Just to kind of get a feel, you know, and figure out, is this something that I think I want to do? Yeah. I mean, it initially started with, you don't make a whole lot of money when you're in education. You're there for the benefits and you're there for the insurance. Sure. And most importantly, you're there because you want to work with kids. Yeah. Nobody goes into education for money. Right. You go because you want to help students. The passion. Yeah, absolutely. Great coworker. He was a phenomenal coworker. And those relationships, going into work and being happy going to work every day was one of the biggest rewards. But then it came to a point of I'm finding a lot of happiness, and more importantly, and this is something else I preach about, peace with what I'm doing, because there's a huge difference between happiness and peace, right? Happiness is a feeling, peace is a state of mind. So I was finding a lot of peace with what it could potentially be. Flexibility in a schedule when you have a husband who works nights, you know, and we have 2 kids. So flexibility, and I, again, have a big personality and like being a business owner. I like having an idea and then taking that and being creative and running with it. So I think that when I was at Sequoia, there obviously were so many benefits. Too many for me to name. The staff, the administration, my former principal. I actually had a different principal right before I left. My former principal, Brian Reed. I take something from every single person that I've ever been employed by, and his was patience, right? Like if you're sitting in a room, the most powerful person in the room is probably the person that's not saying a whole lot, because they're kind of just scoping out what's going on. And that's so powerful. Like not feeling like you need to continue to like chime in or add a comment. Instead, just kind of listen and reflect and think about how you can handle things differently. And I took that from him, and I shared that with him before I left. That was really, really influential in me becoming a business owner and a boss.
Right.
But it just got to a point where I spent a year. What does this look like financially? Right, like you said, I'm going from a consistent paycheck, health insurance, to I have to make sure I have enough coming in to obviously supplement income. But again, it became about a state of peace. And that was what was most important at that point in my life when I made that decision.
Okay, so walk us through the changes. And one of the things I talk about all the time with like starting new businesses and even going part-time, full-time, whatever it might be, the only way to learn the thing is to do the thing. You know, like I know a few different people in my life that are close to me that have done side work and that's turned into a full business. And then they get to the point where you might have been where, oh man, I either got to take the jump or I got to do something here, but I don't know. But like the only way to do it is to do it. And then through that, you learn all of these different things along the way that there's no other way just to learn it. Talk to us about that transition of being a business owner full time.
You wouldn't believe how many people I talk to, and it comes down to like this basic idea that like picking up the phone and making a call about something, right? Like if you have a question, if you don't know, everybody has this idea like, oh, I'd love to do this, but I just don't know.
Right.
Pick up the phone and ask.
Yeah.
Right. And that was something growing up. I used to, oh my gosh, talk about anxiety. I was not the person raising my hand in class.
Right.
I knew the answer, but I was never going to raise my hand. I was never going to say it out loud. What if I was wrong? And then I don't know what it was. I was at college, and I was in one of my psych courses, and it just became this idea that like these people that are around you, they're never going to remember you saying something that didn't make sense or whatever it looks like. And so I adapted this mentality of like knowledge is power. If I call and I ask a question, if I need to know something about my insurance and I call you, I'm going to get what I need. You know what I mean? Right. So to allow that fear of calling to stop me from getting what I need to be successful, well, then you rationalize in your brain, I'm never going to get what I want. You know what I mean? I'm never going to reach that goal.
Yeah.
So I take the idea, or I guess the mentality of like knowledge is power. So when I made that jump, what are my questions? How do I do this? I spent a lot of time on the phone.
Right.
I spent a lot of time on phone with the state and reaching out to resources. I couldn't preach that enough to somebody who is wanting to take that next step or, take the leap into being a business owner.
Yeah.
What are your resources, right? Reaching out to you and saying like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on this? Let's meet up. Let's grab coffee. What are little things I need to think about that I'm just not thinking about in being a small business owner?
It just eliminates that learning curve so much. And people, I think you just made a perfect point with the statement of just make the call. Like if there's someone that's 5 steps ahead of you, why not call them so you can get to the 3rd step faster than doing it yourself? Right. And I mean, I have a different podcast. It's a Scratch Agency podcast that talks about just starting an insurance agency. And we built this community around that. Yeah. And the amount of conversations inside of the groups that are like, oh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. But then it just propels you that much further.
Right.
And
no,
so
absolutely.
I think that's a great point. All right, let's talk all about the business.
Yeah.
Tell me everything about it.
Everything about it. So this is like first and foremost the name. it's pretty obvious, right? Modern. There is, and not so much now. I think everybody's kind of new age therapists are definitely in this mindset of like, it doesn't have to be the couch and the notepad and that whole thing where we're sitting and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
It's very much meant to be casual and down to earth. I've got my iced coffee. Yesterday I was having some sugar snap peas on a call with a client. Like, we are just here because I am not here to intimidate you, right? I am not here to wear the suit and the tie and the coat while, obviously we maintain a level of professionalism, but it's about this idea of just feeling content and comfortable, rapport, relationship, being genuine. So I was at Sequoia in 2022. It was December. I'm a huge Golden Girls fan. Love Golden Girls. John's like, every night I come home, this is on. What is the deal? How old are you? You know? But no, so I love Betty White. I actually had a student make me this awesome Betty White painting. Shout out to him, James Hank. He's the best. But I had this cup, this Betty White cup, and it was right before break and things get crazy and I was super anxious. I'm like, man, what is going on? What am I doing? You know, I can't calm down. I got to settle myself somehow. And this is when I was just starting to go into practice part-time and pick back up tools and techniques I hadn't been using because I was, you know, when you're in a school counselor, you're also thinking career, right? I'm not using a ton of, I guess, those mental health counseling skills. So I'm like, I got to have a cup of coffee. Right. And I make this cup of coffee and it's cinnamon bun and I put it in my hands and I closed my eyes and I was trying to bring myself back down to baseline. And then I took that first sip of cup of coffee and all of a sudden I was like, what the heck is in this coffee? Like, why do I feel better? You know, immediately. And then I stopped and I thought about it and it was like, okay, what I just did was utilize grounding techniques, trying to bring myself back down to baseline. The cup is warm and it's cold. It's December. It smells like cinnamon. What a great scent. And so that first sip of a cup of coffee became a coping skill of mine. It became something that I do to ground myself, which is probably super conflicting to some other clinicians and therapists because it's like, you're using coffee as a way to...
There's some other things you could be using that could be worse. So it's good. Coffee's
exactly
good.
My point, right? And my sister-in-law was like, so you're not drinking it to stay awake. You're drinking it because you like the flavor. Like, why aren't you drinking decaf? And I was like, wow, you're so right. I don't know what I'm doing. I definitely don't need to drink 3 cups of coffee a day. But so my logo is a coffee cup. With
I love that.
With a leaf
That's
in
the
it.
story behind it. Cool.
Yeah. And it became this thing where, you know, Brianna, she's like, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock. You're making a cup of coffee. What is wrong? Are you okay? I got to stay away. No. Yeah. But it became this thing where I tell my clients, I want you to figure out your coffee cup things. What are they? What's your coffee cup? What is the thing that you are going to utilize or you can gravitate toward when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to come back to baseline? Which... me having coffee in a session, me being, I've got my Nikes on, right? Like laid back. It's this idea of this modern age therapy,
I love it.
Right? Where it's easygoing.
And the best part is you can build it how you want to build it.
Right.
I mean, we do the same thing with T5, like the modern. I tell a story all the time. Last summer we had an intern. He was with us for just like 8 weeks. And we were in the office, which is a little bit bigger than this. 2 of us just sitting there. Yeah. We had Luke Combs blaring on the radio. We were watching the PGA event, working, just doing stuff. This older guy walked in and he opened the door and then shut the door. And I was like, can I help you? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for the insurance agency. And I was like, oh, no, this is it. And he stopped and looked around and was like, this looks nothing like an insurance agency. Yeah. And I was like, mission accomplished. Yep. Initially, I was like, absolutely. I said, thank you for saying that. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Because the walls aren't gray or brown and there's not wood furniture all over the place. But like, that's the beauty about building something. Absolutely. That's the beauty about building something. Talk to us about like where you're at, who you can help. Yeah. We're going to wrap it up here quickly for time, but who you can help, where you're at, about the team, and just more stuff about the business. So we obviously are looking to continue to grow in every way. I think right now what I've seen a lot of is a need for play therapy. There are no child therapists in this area. Nobody wants to work with kids. Interesting. And I think a lot of it is because you're not just working with the child,
You're working with the parents. And I'm a parent. Like, I don't want someone to tell me how to parent. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. But I think that if you have the right clinician and you have somebody with a soft, modern, comfortable approach, you can make anything work. So we have an intern coming on in August who she's actually a former student of mine at Sequoia.
That's super
Full
cool.
circle.
That's
very cool. Brianna and I forgot to mention this to you. Brianna and I worked at the House of Good Shepherd together. So that's also full circle. So it's fun.
See, all those building block experiences.
Right. Brought it back together. But no, so Holly's coming on, and she and I have actually been having some conversations for a couple of months about what she would like to see, just kind of doing some like career coaching stuff, about what she would like to see happen with her own journey. And she's like, I want to specialize in play. I want to be able to offer this to the community. And finally, one day I was like, I need you to come intern with me. Like, I want you to come on. So she will intern with me for the next year, finish her program, and come on full time.
That's
and
awesome.
kind of head the play department, which I know right now is a huge need.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, every clinician deals with anxiety.
Yeah.
Every clinician can probably address depression. I'm trying to look for unique skill sets that can offer and fill the gaps in mental health in this community. Now, the tricky part is insurance, right? Like, you being credentialed with certain, insurance companies and making sure that aligns and being able to meet a population that's really in need.
Right.
So we're working on that part as well, how we can offer services to a wider range of people. But, it's continuing to grow. I'm astounded at how well we've done so far, and I'm so unbelievably grateful.
So cool.
I can't tell you, Brianna is phenomenal. She is a phenomenal clinician. And we're just kind of doing our thing. We're making it our own, and
that's awesome.
It's super exciting.
So do you have a physical location, or are you all remote?
Yeah, so we're located over in Ellenwood Court, over by the Marquee.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever you do, don't type it into the GPS because it's taking you to the UPS store.
Oh, boy.
Every single time without fail. So we've had to we'll send out a client, obviously details, instructions on how to get to us. But yeah, we're located over there in an office suite. The three of us will be there and bringing on another clinician in the fall.
Look at that growth.
So we're going.
I love it.
We're going.
I want to ask you one last question I
Yeah.
just thought about. The mental health conversation has come so forefront in the last couple of years. And I think, like our age, like our parents' age is like, oh, you don't talk about that, or you don't need to talk about that, or you go to talk to somebody about your problems or whatever phrase you want to use. Great. Like what do you say just in a general statement to either those people or the people that have those individuals in their life? Because it's difficult on both sides. And I know friends that struggle with it, with parents going through things or children going through things or whatever. And it all comes full circle to what you do every day. But the conversation of it's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay. We talked about when you're starting a new business about calling somebody of how did you build your website? I need to build a website like that, right? Like it's okay to ask questions and talk to people. I feel like the mental health conversation has come forward in the last couple of years of it is okay, but there's still that population of, oh, I'm not talking to them. I'm fine. I'll just deal with this inside my head for the rest of my life. What do you say to that?
I think it, first and foremost, while yes, we have to use the term mental health, I try to, as much as I can, use mental wellness because it's softer.
Yeah.
I think there is still such a stigma surrounding this. Again, like you're referencing this idea of talking to somebody or asking for help. You wouldn't believe the number of people I see. I do a lot of talk therapy. And what I mean by that is I sit, I ask a question, the person starts talking, they literally talk themselves into an answer, right? So I'm not doing anything that is any sort of miracle work. I'm helping you reach that point.
Yeah.
So I think what it is helping people to realize, I see a lot of moms who their entire friend group are not moms. They don't have anybody that can relate.
Yeah.
I see a ton of college students who are going through and maybe they have anxiety related to whatever it is that they're studying, but the people that they spend their time with can just do it no problem. You know what I mean? It's about looking to find somebody that isn't going to pass judgment. So it's trying to soften that conversation a little bit and not saying, you don't have to have me saying like, oh gosh, you feel anxious.
Yeah.
You don't have, a more intense version of whether it's panic disorder or social anxiety. it can be talk therapy. It can be a space for you to just simply talk about the things that are going on in your life. And it doesn't have to be something so, again, intensified, right, where it's more in depth. And I think that's what the idea of mental health is right now to some people in that generation. So it's teaching them that it's not that. It's not that, right? You're just looking for a space to be able to come. And that's what the whole bring your coffee, bring your lunch, come in your leggings, whatever you need to do, and have it be softer. And I think by meeting the population, showing them that I'm the same way. I'm not this professional that's looking to intimidate you. I'm looking to meet you where you're at. Showing them that so that they can say, my experience was great. You should really try it. Because nothing's more influential than, somebody you're close with saying like, oh yeah, no, I did that. It was awesome. So trying to go about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
We could keep going for hours. This was amazing.
We could keep going.
I've done hundreds of these conversations. I'm not just saying this because you're here.
Oh.
This was one of the best conversations.
Oh my gosh.
It was just, I
it.
appreciate how open you are with things.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a very important topic. And
Yeah.
I think about it a lot in my life, like 3-month-old at home, new business owner.
Right.
While I'm doing both of those big things, trying to be a husband, it's freaking hard, man. Like
Mike,
life
can you relate?
is hard.
Like if you can't, it's
right. And like the ability to just say, you know what, I'm going through it, instead of just your answer of, I'm good, how are you? And I just, that's why I wanted to have you in. First, I wanted to just talk about the business and all that, but I think it's so needed, and what you're doing for this community is just fantastic. And with the Make an Impact, we're right on brand because you're making an impact in so many people's life. And
so good.
As a community member, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where can people get in touch with you? Said over there at Elmwood. I think my dentist is over there. Is that where it is?
Yeah. Right over the same space.
Yeah.
Stop in anytime.
I just got a text yesterday. I got to make an appointment, so that's perfect. Maybe I'll stop in.
Yeah, we're right on our website. That's the easiest way. We've tried to make it as seamless as possible. Go on www.moderncounselingco.com. Right under, I'm pretty sure on every page, you can just set an inquiry. Comes right to me. I'm handling, obviously, being small, all of the intakes and things like that. But as we delegate, to a clinician, specific clinician, they'll go from there. They'll take it from there.
Love it. Bring your coffee cup.
Bring your coffee cup, please.
And then part 2 with the big announcement. We got that coming.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
Everybody,
me.
make sure to check out Natalie. That's another episode of the Make an Impact podcast. Until next time, go out there, lead with purpose, make an impact in someone's life, even if that's your own. My name's Stephen Turnbull. Take care.